Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Hey, look, I want to talk about something that I see all the time, and yet I just call bullshit on so often, or I think of it as bullshit. Are Filipino women financially and fiscally responsible? Are they responsible people? All right. Hmm. You know what? In addition to that, we're going to talk about Arlen and show you what a Filipina is certainly capable of or not. And finally, more than anything, we're going to give you an idea as to how we handle it. Because I think more important than anything is the simple fact that if you are not giving your partner, your live in, all right, your girlfriend an allowance, well, guess what? I think you're screwing up right off the get go. And I'll tell you why. I think it's necessary for you to give them an allowance. Let's talk about it.
Why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Okay, so at, at the risk of being too broad, I'm going to categorize Filipino women in just a few tiny slots. The first one is those women who just never had the ability, all right, the opportunity. That's the real word, not ability, but opportunity to be financially and fiscally responsible individuals. And when we are saying that, I want you to think about it like this. If all you make is 400 or 500 pesos a day, and you're only working 6 days a week, you don't buy stuff for the future. And there's not, because there's nothing left. There's nothing left at that wage. Um, there, and even if you can save a couple hundred pesos a, a week, the mental stress, think about it yourself. If you thought you were fighting a losing battle, saving money, that's why you're thinking of coming to the Philippines. Maybe they are having a losing battle as well. That's category number one. Category number two, it's going to be the girls, all right, or women that you have to constantly give them more money. The ones that never have enough money. For many of you, you just picked the wrong scammer. All right, the gold digger. You know, and this is a fast way to figure it out. A real fast way to figure it out. And that's why we're talking about the allowance in just a second. When they consistently don't have enough money and you have given them money, then where's that money going? You're picking the wrong girls. All right. It's just, you're picking the wrong women. But maybe that's not actually the way to describe it. You may not have given them that opportunity. So the next category are those that quite frankly, they don't plan, they're not responsible until they have enough money to be able to plan and be responsible. And then you can start to see how are they handling that money. And then will they at least take some sort of responsible time to sit down with you and figure out their finances and everything else that goes along with it. That's like a second category. Now, we're going to get into a third category. That category is very simple. It is the ones that are responsible. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how we handle it, how Arlene handles it, and what our experience has been. Now, Arlene, before I met Arlene, she worked. When I met Arlene, she worked. She supported herself. She sent money to her family on a monthly basis. She budgeted. And when we were dating initially, I never gave her money. In fact, I had a hard time getting her to accept money. That being said, what's more important is where did I take it from there? Why do I think that allowance is important? I think the allowance is important because it's your litmus test. It's your way of seeing, can they be responsible? If you're giving them a reasonable allowance and that allowance doesn't last, if it's more than what they were making, and let's face it, guys, most of you that come here, you're not going to want your partner to work unless they have a professional job. You want them to spend time with you. That's the whole idea behind retirement and finding a partner to spend your retirement with. So you've got to replace that. So you've got to give them a allowance. And when you do that, you've got to see how they spend it. So with Arlene and I, now we've been together 12 years. All right. Married for 10. And with that being said, everything that we do together. But in the beginning, it wasn't that way. I've always told you this, never put a dime of your money into anything asset-wise in the Philippines that you're not willing to just walk away from. Because when you pick the wrong woman, it's so much easier. Whether it's building a house, whether it's buying land, vehicles, whatever, just write it off if that's what it comes down to. Now, the way our finances work is really simple. I have my U.S. income. All of that income gets automatically deposited into what, if you owned a business, you would call it a sweep account, all right? A master account in the Philippines, in the U.S. And from that, I sweep certain amounts everywhere else. One amount goes into our joint checking account. One of it goes into our savings account. One of it goes to the Philippines. So out of that, we're saving money in the U.S. And yes, Arlene has a U.S. bank account. She has a Social Security number. All right. She has everything. Very responsible. Very responsible. She checks her accounts all the time. Now, the next step. We swept the money into our main and into our transfer account, is what I would call it. And once a month, I wire that to the Philippines. And when I wire it to the Philippines, our Philippine bank accounts are all joint accounts. Arlene could walk in and wipe me out tomorrow, but that's okay. Knock on wood. All right. Let's hope it never happens, but she could. And it wasn't always like that, but over time, trust was built, and we talked about how to manage money, and we learned different things. And, I'll give you an example. Those of you that have been around in the channel for the past 6 months know that I was recently, or not too long ago, had to have an emergency cardiac catheterization and then a second cardiac catheterization after that. I had to have stents put in. on 2 occasions. The first time around, it was an emergency, and it was an expensive stint, an expensive process. Arlen walked into the bank here in the Philippines, sucked 1,000,000 pesos out of it, and brought it to the hospital when I was getting discharged to pay the bill. So she could wipe me out here. Very simple. However, because my income in the U.S. is going to continue no matter what Arlen does, I don't have to worry about that. As a single guy, if Arlen got the house, got the condo, got the van, got the SUV, got everything, as a single guy, I'd still be fine. I wouldn't buy another condo. I wouldn't build another house. I would just rent. I wouldn't say, I don't understand. There's no big rush for single men, especially in your 60s up, to own property. It just doesn't make financial sense. You know, you do property when you're building a legacy for your wife, your family down the road. All right, so it gets swept into our account. Out of that, you know, we take an allowance. Arlen gets money. I get money. Now, my money is kind of like a big umbrella. It covers everything. It covers everything except Arlen's family and Arlen's individual wants and desires. So, what else is there? Does she run out of money? No, she never runs. When we went to Thailand, she didn't run out of money there, and she bought a crap load of stuff. We have another international trip coming up when my daughter gets here in June. Arlen's got money. She puts money aside. She banks it, I guess is the best word to use. She puts it there and parks it, and it's there. If she has a family emergency, guess what? Guess where it comes from? If one of the nieces needs something extra for school, guess where it comes from? If her father needs something extra, guess where it comes from? Arlen takes care of all of that. So there are plenty of responsible, financially, fiscally knowledgeable basics, but still enough Filipinas here. You need to find that. And you know how you start? You start that by giving them an allowance. And if they can't work within that allowance, if you sit there and you say, this is your allowance, this is what it's got to cover, and they have to keep coming back to you for money, then you've picked the wrong woman, or you picked the right woman, but you're not smart enough to teach her. Or the two of you just butt heads and you can't teach that. Either way, my point is really simple. I think you should give them an allowance. I think it's necessary for you to be able to determine how capable they are with money. And I think that that's a big part of any relationship as well. I don't know how else to describe it. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, okay? But you've got to remember where they come from, where they've been taught, what they've been taught. Then aren't you going to help educate them? And aren't you going to give them that opportunity? It's kind of like giving them enough rope to hang themselves. If you give them enough rope and they keep asking for more and more and more, that's a gold digger. Get rid of her. Move on. There are tons of great Filipino women that are not like that here. And that's just simply the way it is. Your thoughts, your ideas, put them in the comments below. Please do subscribe, hit the thumbs up. We certainly appreciate it. Have a great day.